Hello, sixth graders. Today's assignment, which is Thursday, the 26th, is to listen to me and make sure that you understand these questions that you're supposed to have finished. At this point, you've had pre-reading, a prompt, reading chapter 1, after reading chapter 1 questions, plus a quizzes. So if you don't understand chapter 1 at this point, you need to reread it. So this is what I'm looking at so far in the classroom. We've got our classwork here, and we're going all the way back to the pre-reading assignment. There was already a video about this topic, so I won't bore you with these concepts again. If you have specific questions about this, please let me know. But there are still 4 of you who haven't done it, and it was due on Tuesday. So please get that finished. All of these things are going to impact your grade. So get that done, those 4 of you, and I won't call you out right now. You know who you are. All right. So the pre-reading assignment should have been due Tuesday, and then you had a journal response. And that journal prompt, again, 6 of you are missing that. It was due yesterday as well. This is a pretty short and simple. How do you get motivated to do something that seems almost impossible? Whether it's facing the pitcher on the softball field who has already struck out 15 batters, and you're up to bat trying to get your team on the board. So, that seems impossible. If you've already allowed yourself to get buried by all of this coursework, that might also feel like it's impossible at this point. So, how do you get motivated to do something that seems almost impossible? And you guys can rely on faith. You can rely on others to help you with that. But you're going to face a lot of circumstances in life that seem impossible. How do you overcome these different situations in front of you? And you'll have to figure out how to do that. And you're going to see that a lot with Brian Robeson throughout this book. This is a young kid that's from a city who is, as you'll see in chapter 2, going to have his life turned upside down. So when that happens, what makes you move forward? So sometimes it's hope, sometimes it's because you want to live, sometimes it's living for others. So this needs to get finished by 6 of you, so please get that done. You do have after reading questions. These are due tomorrow, so if you haven't read yet, you're not totally buried yet, but get those other things done too. There's 9 of you who haven't done the reading, or at least answered the questions yet. These questions are pretty simple too. We learned right away that Brian's parents are divorced. What does divorce mean for kids? I mean, some of you have experienced that. And it can be messy. We've talked about divorce being messy before. My own divorce is messy, so we've talked about that a little bit, not in too much of detail. But what do you think the secret is? And so this is an inference, and you're making your best guess. What do you think the secret is? And don't share too much with each other if you've read this or read ahead, which you shouldn't be doing. But what do you think that secret is, and why do you think it is what you've decided it is? So go into detail. Don't just say, it is this, period. That's not enough. Look up here. Respond to each question. 3 to 5 sentences for each question. So 2 paragraphs should be on this paper. Number 2, how can a single word be painful? So the secret is the word that just gets under his skin. And divorce itself could do that. Homework could do that. Midterms could do that for you. Based on the number of you missing things, maybe you should be afraid of your midterms. But we've got a lot of different words that just like hit a nerve, and that's what you should be answering here. Give an example of your word that just hits that nerve and that it brings out the worst in you. Mine is email from ex-wife. Ugh, that's the one that gives me pain. So think it through. Answer the question. Remember, 3 to 5 sentences. You guys are in 6th grade, nearly 7th at this point, so you got this. The last thing, I put this on here because I thought you'd enjoy it, because so many of you clamor for quizzes when we have class. So I do want you to do this. I do want you to click the turn in button. It will auto grade that for me. And this, I think it said 100 points. It's not worth 100 points. It just auto filled that, and I did not correct that. So I'm not going to bury you with a 100-point homework assignment. So it is something that just reinforces what you've read. So that's why that's there. So you can do that before you do your question for after reading, but don't do it before you read because you're going to miss them all. So that's what we have here. And then as you sign in today, you'll see the new assignment, which is just listening to me. So and then making sure that you're prepared. And the classwork you guys have this week, Khan Academy, you've got your vocab work, and not many of you have done that. There is a test on Friday, and I mentioned that in an email communication with you. It's going to be a Google form. It's going to be a little different than what we're used to doing, and it'll be something that's all electronic. It's multiple choice, but you need to know the words. So spend time getting to know them. I know some of you probably did not take your vocab book home. The list of words are on my website. They're also on the email that I sent out on Sunday afternoon, which was sent to you as well, so you have access to that. So no week 20 words, which are Unit 10, Part 2, Part B. So as far as what you should have read, Brian's in a plane. He's leaving his mom's and going to his dad's. He's leaving New York and going to Canada. We can't blame him for Justin Bieber as much as we want to, but he is going to Canada. Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister, was speaking French today. Really fancy. Anyway, interesting place, interesting people. So, Chapter 1, Brian Robeson, main character. Know him. He's going to be the only character here soon. Spoiler. So, he gets to ride in this plane. And as he's in this plane, he is a 13-year-old who doesn't know the person that he's with. So is he talking? No, he's not talking at all. He's just looking out at the vast green that is underneath of him. And it's important to understand that that's all that it is to him right now. And so later on, we'll see how that green and that life that exists around him, how that's changed by the events that happen. So it goes on in Chapter 1, the word divorce just triggers him, and he thinks about what's happening. He's got that word, the secret. What is that secret? And that's one of the things that you're supposed to answer. So Brian is preoccupied with words. So he really focuses on these words and how they're impacting the way he thinks, the way he feels, his relationships with his mom, his relationship with his dad. So they're talking, they finally talk to each other, taking control of the plane. The kid was flying the plane. He got to learn some of the pedals and what made it go. Foreshadowing, these are things that you have to think about and take in as you're reading. Why is it important that he would be flying the plane? Brian thinks about what it will be like to spend the summer with his dad, and that's where the plane's going. It's not a very eventful flight at first, and then his relationship with his mother comes in as well. She wanted to talk to him about his feelings about the divorce, but that's a difficult thing to do because he still loves his mom, he still loves his dad, and he's stuck in the middle, and that's what's difficult about divorce. So, um, if you have that experience or know people who have, then you understand what that's like. So, Brian realizes that the pilot all of a sudden is having some pain. And if those of you who follow medicine know, this pain in the upper left side and shortness of breath is not the coronavirus. It is a heart attack. So he radios for help, and just then the pilot thrashes, knocks the controls, the plane is spiraling, the speed is changing. Brian's sense of, oh, I can fly this plane, is suddenly, I have to fly this plane. And so chapter 1 ends with this, he's on his own. He's in a plane thousands of feet above the wilderness. How is he going to figure this out? What is he going to do? And this book is a fantastic one that leaves you clamoring for more. So I know that a lot of you may have tried to read ahead, but try not to. We'll be diving into these a little bit more in the next couple of weeks, where we'll read more than one chapter a week. But I wanted to ease you into this. So if you have questions about all of these questions, if you have questions about what you've read, feel free to send me an email. Send me a message on Instagram. If you haven't followed me there, you can. So Hatchet's an excellent story, I think, for those of you who love the outdoors, can relate to a young kid who has to overcome stuff. This is one of those books that will stick with you. If you don't like reading, tough. You're going to have to anyway. And stay on top of your work. Please stay on top of your work. There are so many of you who haven't done anything yet. And these things count. This is still school, and it has to be a priority. We're asking for 2 to 3 hours a day where you're working. Your parents just got a survey last night about how this is going for you, how much time you're using and spending on work, and what's working, what isn't. But if you're not working, how are they going to answer that question, and those questions? So stay on top of your work. I'm here to guide you. You're still going to learn new content, and I'm responsible for that. And that's what makes us different from other schools locally. We want you to be 7th graders when school starts back up. If it's next year, I don't know what's happening. Please don't ask me. But let me know if you need anything. Get your work finished and contact the teachers. We'd love to hear from you, as long as it's not nonsense. So I hope you guys have an awesome day. I'll be live later Thursday afternoon, and I'll address some questions, hopefully. If you're just there to chat, that's okay to an extent. But miss you. Look forward to hearing from you soon, and do your work. Bye-bye.